Hey everybody, this is Minion Soldier, and this is the Piracy Show. Now, as promised, we're going to be talking about the Caterpillar today, but we're also going to be talking about something else because, I don't know, I may have kind of accidentally stumbled on something, or at least I would say that in, in regards to the new Corvette, well, I'll get to that after I deal with the first topic, which is the Caterpillar. Now, for the longest time, the Caterpillar was a ship that, you know, I didn't own. I still don't own. But I have started to think about it. And one of the things that I'm thinking about is, as I've been watching the game and exploring the game, I've definitely got a ton of fighters. I really, really do. And I have kind of come to the conclusion that it is time to start seriously thinking about consolidating ships and going from a hangar with a large amount of smaller ships to a hangar with, a key one or two fighters, and then to move to larger, more serviceable vessels. Now, one of the ships that I have been kind of paying attention to is the Caterpillar, but not so much in that it's something that I want to fly on my main character. It's not something like that because I am kind of paying attention to the fact that they are seemingly setting it up as kind of like a mini carrier for Drake Dragonflies, which are of course the snub fighter that can use quantum, and that I want to see the Drake Dragonfly first. I want to see what it can do, but just the idea that it could deploy a bunch of Drake Dragonflies. I mean, what if you have, 5 or 6 Drake Dragonflies once, NPCs, don't worry, they're going to become good. Just you wait and see, the comments that, that we hear a lot. I mean, I'm kind of looking at the Caterpillar now, and for those of you who played EVE Online or still play EVE Online, I'm kind of thinking almost kind of like the Ishtar in its heyday. You remember the hack, the drone carrier hack that was just for a while there. I don't know if it still is, but it was absolutely just this amazing heavy assault cruiser where you could just dive in with drones. And then if you had the right setup, I mean, there was a few setups that you could go with, but you could even go with sensor dampeners and faction warp scrambler, and you could actually scramble somebody. And if you had the prerequisite skills for sensor dampeners, you could actually dampen them so that they could not target you, where you could scramble them if you had a long enough warp scrambler, and then you could just let your drones go in and do the work for you, and you could just take pot shots with whatever guns you managed to fit on the ship with all the other stuff. And it was a heck of a ship, and it was a heck of a setup. And when it worked, if it still works, I don't know. But I mean, we're talking way back in the day when there were still alliances like Bob and D2 and stuff like that. But thinking about the Caterpillar now, and depending on how many of these little snub fighters you could fit on it, that could be a thing. That could be like a heck of a ship. So I am definitely paying attention to the Caterpillar a lot more than I was. I mean, previously, the Caterpillar, it was a ship that I kind of I made that whole video about almost a year ago now, saying this is a ship that should already be in production because the ship was made and sold so long ago, or not made but sold so long ago. And one of the reasons that I made the video, one of the sub reasons I never really got into, was that one of the most depressing things that was ever on Reverse the Verse, the whole time that show has been going on, the most depressing discussion that ever came up was always the fact that whenever Caterpillar or Banu Merchantman owners would say, any news on the Caterpillar or Banu Merchantman? No, no news, no news. And then at one point, Ben Lesnick famously said, I even forgot that that ship existed. And when I heard that, that's kind of what spurned on the creation of that video, because I was just like, really? Come on, dude. That's just depressing. The owners of those ships deserve a little more than that. And, but I mean, that's a whole other tangent. We're not really going to get into that. But the fact is, like, I'm now that I'm watching the Caterpillar, and I've been thinking about that, imagine if you had, like, high quality NPC crew, as high quality as they're supposedly going to be. Some people, assume that, oh no, they're going to be able to do everything, and I remain skeptical on that. And I'm not saying like I remain skeptical like CIG says they can do it, but we all know they can't. Those fools. No, I mean, I remain skeptical that NPCs will ever reach that point, that will where they will be able to, as CIG has said, have shield game like a human being would have, or to have, the foresight, which I think is something that, obviously any type of AI, such as it is, really lacks is intuition. And I just really don't think that NPCs will ever be quite as good as human players, competent enough to be useful, quite possibly. And the idea of using the Caterpillar as sort of like a little mini drone carrier, that has me intrigued. That has me, very strongly thinking about the ship in a new light. And, originally, when we first started seeing all this news of the Caterpillar, I was thinking, one of the other things that I could do, and I have been thinking about the ship, because in relative to what's been happening with the Starfarer, and all of a sudden the Starfarer took this huge price jump, and I noticed that, and I was just, what about the Caterpillar? Is the Caterpillar going to go through the same? Because, for the longest time, we were hearing, oh yeah, the Caterpillar, yeah, we'll get to the Caterpillar. Oh, we forgot about the Caterpillar. Now all of a sudden, you have like Calyx Renault, Gurmuk Bassine, Min Diesel, whose name of, what is it? Will Vasquez? No, it's. I think it's Vasquez, but I can't remember his first name. I'm sorry. We always just called him Min Diesel, but all these guys saying, "Oh no, I'm totally excited about the Caterpillar, the Caterpillar, the Caterpillar." Rawr, everyone's all hyped up about it. I mean, is there going to be an opportunity in the near future to scoop up a Caterpillar and still get it at a price before it takes a huge price leap, because it's going to end up being more ship than they originally thought it was going to be? And that's something that I have been thinking about, and I am paying attention to, because I mean, even if it's not something that you could use, quote unquote, as a mini drone carrier. When I say drone carrier, of course, I mean like NPC pilots flying dragonflies. I don't mean like it's actually going to come with mechanical drones or something like that. But I mean, it's something that I am thinking about now. I had no intention ever of owning a Caterpillar on my main character. I mean, I already have, for big ships, I already have a Reclaimer, and the Reclaimer is just something that I cannot ever see myself selling, even though the Reclaimer is years away. Best case scenario, next year at best. I can't see myself getting rid of something about that ship. I just love that ship. But I have, one of the things that I did, I mean, obviously being a pirate, I had to make certain allowances for the fact that I would need access to parts of the UEE that normally I wouldn't be able to get to, right? I would need access to these places, and I would need to be able to possibly, move cargo from, say, pirate criminal areas of space into the UEE or back and forth, and possibly a substantial amount. Now, I had never planned for, going all the way up to a caterpillar, but I do have a character that is utterly set aside, that has, on a different account, that is not connected to me in any way, that is merely there to transfer goods from one to the other, and basically remain otherwise completely anonymous. And now I'm starting to think the caterpillar might, in terms of cargo, be a good thing for that character. But then again, if this thing ends up being a mini drone carrier, or something sort of like that, it might be something I could possibly want to keep on my main. But I'm still not too sure. So I still don't think that I'm going to be getting a caterpillar, because I kind of like the way I've got everything set up right now. And even though I am very excited about the caterpillar and I am watching it carefully, I for some reason I still just don't see myself buying it. I really don't. I don't know what it is. It's just that switch in my head just isn't flipping like the way it is with the new Corvette. That with the new Corvette, I've actively been going out and kind of, really thinking this through, and kind of looking at various pieces of information. Now, of course, there isn't a lot of information out there, and I guess I should actually say now that I'm actually switching to my second topic here. But, relative to the new Corvette, I have been thinking a lot about the new Corvette, and I've been kind of seeking out information. And I mean, I've been looking at historical comparisons, Corvettes in the real world, what they did, what they are. And I am still very hopeful that CIG is going to embrace a modular concept with the new Corvette, and that has got me curious. But as I was kind of poking around and thinking about the new Corvette, I may have accidentally stumbled upon a possible look for the new Corvette. Now, when I say this, like, this isn't like, I was sketching on a pad and I said, here's what it should look like. But now, the new Corvette, of course, is going to be made by RSI, Roberts Space Industries, right? Makers of the Connie and makers of the Aurora. So a lot of people might initially think that it's going to be a, sort of like that hexagonal hull type shape, where on the Connie it's kind of squished down, whereas on the Aurora it's a little bit taller instead. But, that general setup of a ship, that general kind of look. And some people might look at, just like a supersized Connie and be like, yeah, that's great. But there is one other RSI ship that is size-wise very close in a lot of respects to what the new Corvette has been described as. And so I'm going to put that ship up on screen right now, because it's a ship that a lot of people probably forget is RSI, is the RSI Orion, the mining ship. That is a Roberts Space Industries ship, and that ship falls in fairly close in dimensions to the Corvette. Now, we know that ships are all supposed to maintain a certain look, a certain feel, a certain, just, they're supposed to kind of move along on a similar thread for the most part. Now, of course, if you look at Aegis ships and then you look at the Reclaimer, not so much. But when we're dealing with this ship, I mean, you've seen the Orion up on screen. Now, the Orion is 170 meters long, whereas the new Corvette's supposed to be 110, 120, somewhere in there. But wouldn't that just mean that you would, I mean, if you take the RSI Orion and you take off the cargo, the cargo boxes on that little rotating, on their rotating spindles, if you take those off and you just take the forward hull and, just attach it to the engine pods, the quad engine pods on the rear. I mean, that would seem to kind of bring the length down, and that would be like a large-sized RSI ship. And of course, the Orion is a very successful look, and that is something that I'm sure CIG has noticed, that a lot of people love the look of the RSI Orion, and the fact that this ship is going to be RSI as well is very interesting. But now here's the other part that you may not know. And here's the this is what kind of made me think, I think it's probably going to be very close to the Orion, or something very, very similar indeed. Is now, you're going to have to keep this between us, but here's some art from the Orion concept work that you may never have seen. And the reason why is this is from the subscriber section of the forum. Shh, don't tell anyone. But interestingly enough, in these pictures, the Orion doesn't have its mining gear. Instead, it has weapons mounted on it, including these quad guns, where the little drill pieces, where the grinder or whatever. I think that if they're going and they're saying, okay, it's got to be the ship, it's got to be it's got to have the the RSI look. Now they could go a totally different direction, and they could just go like, okay, we're just gonna say like what if the Connie was just just became like sort of like Bruce Banner becoming the Incredible Hulk. The Connie is just sort of like Bruce Banner, and it's just gonna bulk up, and it's gonna be huge. It's gonna have all the gun turrets, and it's gonna be badass. But the fact that they already have a capital ship, RSI has a capital ship with a certain look, and a look that fans have obviously very strongly gravitated towards and liked. It just seems that even with this concept art, that it just seems readily adaptable to a combat role, with possibly minimal changes apart from removing the cargo bays and the mining equipment and replacing it with combat equipment. I don't know. I mean, I could be totally wrong, but it just seems to fit, right? So I don't know, something to think about, and something to keep an eye on. Anyways, that's about it for the Piracy Show this week. Hopefully I won't get in trouble for sharing the subscriber art, but I'm a pirate.
Quantum travel.
Anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed the show, and thanks for watching.